So here I've got one of the videos from my online school which started at the beginning of lockdown. In this class we are looking at what is an essay, how is an essay structured, and how to go about thinking about it. Join me for my online class, and just remember, my students, for safeguarding purposes, their voices and names have been edited out. I've put some comments on the screen so you can see what they've asked or how they've answered. But just imagine yourself as my student in the class with me and answer the questions for yourself. See what you can come up with and see what the other students have to answer.
So let's talk about sustaining an argument, because this is something that you will need to do. Now, I was doing some reading yesterday, and I found a really nice way of describing an essay. And you have an idea. And then, as you move through your essay, you have stepping stones to get to your final idea. And what you're doing is directing your reader to each stepping stone. And that is how you can think of an essay. Each paragraph is a stepping stone. So how do you think we could sustain an argument if we're thinking about it in terms of stepping stones? So how do we narrow down our idea? Think about if you were going to explain something complicated to a child. How would you make that understandable to a child? You would make it fun, but how would you break up? How would you organize the information? How would you... Because if you were... Yes, so you sustain an argument by breaking down the argument into small digestible chunks. That's exactly what you do. Chunks. Yeah, that's exactly what you do. So what you can do when we're looking at essays, so you will take your essay question here, and then you need to think, what are your stepping stones? I'm just going to write those again. And what I want you to do is, now this is something I don't want you to do just yet. I'd like you to do it, we're going to work on it more tomorrow, and think about, because I want you to do some more research. But if you are getting to the point, you can always think of it by yourself. But I do want you to both do some more research before. Yeah, I definitely, both of you. Okay, so when we have an essay question, and I want you to aim for 10 sentences. And these 10 sentences, well, they'll be questions actually, 10 questions. They are going to be your stepping stones from your essay question to your final idea. And they are going to lead you on the journey of your essay. And each question is one idea. Because our essay is made up of, what's an essay made up of, literally, if we're looking at it on a page? Yeah, we've got words. Words go into... Words go into, if we put many words together, what do they make? Yeah. Yes, I'm literally talking as plainly as that. Yeah, I know. Words go into sentences. Sentences make up paragraphs. Yes. And then many paragraphs equal story, argument, essay, etc. Yeah, exactly. So when you have a sentence, it is one thought. A paragraph is one idea. Well, it's the overarching. Overarching. So overarching is, I'll draw it. Overarching theme idea. So if I were to draw, so here is my essay question. And then you've got all my stepping stones. Yeah, literally, it is going over all the ideas. So that's, it is actually. The idea of it is very simple. And actually, the whole point of this is to make it simple. There you go. I was doing some reading yesterday, and I was reading an essay guide that was written for undergraduate university students, and it was one of the writers we read yesterday, Jordan Peterson, who was the third writer. I think I forgot to tell you his name yesterday, but he wrote an essay guide that's really good. I'll send you a link to it, and he talked about it that each paragraph is a stepping stone to a final idea. And I was like, well, that's really interesting, because it is a stepping stone. Because when we learn to write an essay for school, they don't really talk about it this way, because they say in paragraph 1 you need to have a point, and then you need to have evidence. Okay, chain of reasoning. Yeah, then it's probably the similar. Okay, tell me what chain of reasoning is. Actually, in a way, it's similar. It's very similar, actually. You could think about it in the idea of a chain of reasoning, because what you are doing in an essay is making an argument, which means you need to reason. You need to think about, well, what are the options? Where do I start to help me understand and think through a problem? And when you're doing an essay, it is about, yeah, it is. We are solving a problem. And remember what we talked about in the very beginning. We want to present a problem to our reader and then present a solution. And we need to provide some sort of reasoned, logical argument start at the beginning and end at the end. Okay, yes. So here we're coming back to the idea of, why do we write essays? How do we write them clearly? And what can we learn from them, as well as, like, what's the point? Because we always want it to have some sort of value, some sort of point to it, because otherwise, what is the point? There isn't one. And actually, one of the things that I find really interesting is the idea that, well, it's not even an idea, but the ability to write an essay and to think critically. This is why I really push you when we were talking earlier about your notes and asking questions and pushing you to think, well, what do I mean by this? Why is this writer saying this? What is the bias? What are my assumptions that I'm making? Is because when we do that, we learn to think and we learn to formulate ideas, and then we learn to communicate it, because it's with the questions You are forced to think more deeply about a topic. And the end result actually is that if you can think and if you can communicate, you are then able to defend yourself verbally. And you feel very in control of oneself because you know that you know what you think, or you know how to figure out a problem should it come your way. So I actually find it very useful, because when people come to me going all panic about something, or they're saying, well, I should think this, I'm like, well, do I actually want to think that? And I'm not stressed by someone else telling me, I think you should think this, because I'm like, well, first I'm going to go and ask some questions about it. I'm going to think about it, and then I'll decide whether I should think it, not because you told me I should think it. Okay, so, and then obviously, that's our first day. That's one of the points of writing an essay, is to set our minds straight. And the second is communicating with our audience, as we talked about on Monday. Okay, any questions from there? No, safe. Okay, let's do. Okay, the last thing I'm going to talk about, actually, because I think I can feel the tiredness coming over the internet from what I've put on each day. So this is the basic thing of an essay. We want a chain of reasoning. We want a stepping stone from each paragraph to the other. And each paragraph is one idea, and within that paragraph we have sentences that contain one thought that make up your thinking of that idea.
Thanks for joining me in today's class. If you'd like to know more about essay writing, I have a whole blog series all about how to write an essay, but not just that, how to brainstorm the question, plan, research, and once you've written the essay, how to proofread and edit it. If you've got a question, don't forget to leave it in the comments. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss a video ever again. Good luck with your studying, and I'll see you in the next one.